to speed with developments in politics, legal matters, and infrastructure in the state. But how much do we know about sports development? This is Enugu Kwenu. I am Nathalie Uku. Good evening. Good evening once again and welcome to Enugu Kwenu on Afia TV. Today we're joined by the Honorable Commissioner for Youth and Sports in Enugu State, Barrister Lloyd Ekweremadu. Barrister Ekweremadu, thank you so much for joining us this good evening.
Thank you. Good evening, Natalie.
It's great to have you. It seems as if you just took a holiday from the media. It's great to have you back.
Thank you. It's been a while since I've been here. Good to be back.
So lots of commissionings have happened. We've seen developments here and there. The NBA conference was just concluded. Lawyers seem to have ended it on a high. But we're yet to know what's really happened in Enugu since the marathons that we witnessed and, of course, the half marathon as well. So could you bring us up to speed with developments, not just in sports, but with regards to the youth's empowerment and development in the state?
Okay, thank you. Yes, I think the last time was around May when we had the Enugu City International Marathon, which, as you know, is a huge success. We had the World Athletics fly in to come and assess and monitor that marathon. It was, it's now essentially been logged onto the annual World Athletics calendar, which means it's something that we have to do every year and then hopefully get assessed positively, so we continue to do that. Get labels, as they're called. It was huge. There was 42 kilometers. You saw participation from foreign athletes, long distance runners, and then you saw 10-kilometer race, which had about over 1,000 people participate. So it was a huge success. And since then, Enugu State went on to participate in the National Sports Festival at Abeokuta in Enugu State, where we had a decent outing. A few medals here, one gold medal, a couple of silvers and bronzes. We had the privilege of also receiving the flag officially as the next host of the National Sports Festival for the 23rd edition. And then we've come back, and a few things have happened. His Excellency Dr. Peter Bisimba graciously inaugurated the local organizing committee for the planning and execution of the National Sports Festival, which Enugu will be hosting. Then we got to work, conducting some preliminary feasibilities, working round the clock on that, setting up subcommittees, and so on and so forth. So those are more administrative, boring stuff that we
don't even find anything boring. Nothing is off the table on Enugu Kwenu. But let's now talk about the sports festival. I think it's a great way to start. How was Enugu selected as the host state? What was the actual criteria for selection? Because lots of people obviously will think of the fact that Enugu is changing, Enugu is evolving. It seems as if we now have old Enugu and new Enugu. So what really informed Enugu's selection?
Yeah, so you've essentially stated it. It was a number of things, but particularly they looked at Enugu and saw the level of transformation that was taking place under Dr. Peter Bisimba, and also found that no sector was left behind or left untouched as far as the transformation that's currently going on is concerned. So the level of commitment, we presented a very comprehensive, compelling proposal and bid as we went into that, with a number of commitments, of course, as to things that we would do to see that we host a world-class multi-sport event. So these were all the things they looked at, but mostly was really, we rode on the back of His Excellency's goodwill and pedigree in terms of what he's been able to achieve in every other sector.
Right. What's the preparation like for this festival? I mean, it seems far, 2026, but it's no longer far, it's just months away.
Yeah.
So the actual date of the festival, when we start, and how is the ministry preparing, the organizing committee now, of course, that you had preparing for the sports festival? Are we going to see some kind of overhaul of the Nnamdi Azikiwe Stadium yet again?
Yes, so, the preparation is quite robust from facilities, in terms of the venues where these sporting events are going to take place. So it's almost something as like an overhaul, like you said, when it comes to the Nnamdi Azikiwe Stadium. You're going to be having, a completely different look, more modern facilities, a lot of the obsolete ones now that don't meet international, accreditation standards of FIFA or of the World Athletics or IAAF, as far as the tracks are concerned. We are looking to introduce some new elements that are presently not even at the stadium. So it's a complete revamp, and a few other facilities that will be renovated as well in preparation for that. And so on and so. So there's a whole chain of facilities even beyond the stadium that will be touched.
What are these international standards that the states and of course the stadium as well would have to meet to be accredited or be accepted as a state ready to host such international standard events?
Yeah, so for example, when it comes to athletics, the tracks, you don't just do any sort of racing track. The manufacturer and the installation will have to be done by companies that are IAAF certified. And after it's done, the IAAF will issue a certificate that says, okay, this track is certified. So what that means is that we can host any sort of international athletics competition on those tracks. The track we have currently is IAAF certified, but of course, you will see that it's outlived its warranty for sure, and almost its usefulness.
How long do these tracks last usually?
So for what we're looking to have installed, the certificate will also be coming with a 10-year guarantee, 10 years within which, if there's any defect to it, it'll be fixed at no cost to government. Yeah.
All right. So when we talk about the sports festival, what kind of sports are we looking at? Of course, there'll be track and field. Are we going to have soccer? Are we going to have Rangers get into action? What kind of sports are we looking at this time?
Yeah, so it's quite a number of sports, about 50 or over 50.
50?
Different, about 35, and then, so let's say 40. Yeah, 40 something.
Why did you de-escalate the number
I just realized I overshot the number of optional sports, so which is about 5 or 7. So there are 35 standard ones, and then 7 or so 40 something optional ones, which the state hosting is at liberty to determine those optional sports. So it's an area where you get to choose sports that might favor you and give you that home advantage.
So could you paint a picture of these sports? What kind of sports?
Yeah, so like you've mentioned, athletics, track, field, football, basketball, tennis, para sports, water sports, aquatic sports, from swimming to canoeing, rowing, combat sports, boxing, judo, taekwondo, wrestling, kickboxing, kung fu. So it'll be a huge, and then now we're looking to introduce MMA, the mixed martial arts, volleyball, essentially all the ball sports, all the combat sports, all the team sports, and so you come to hockey, all kinds of, and then remember it's all male, female, and then disabled as well.
I mean, it's so exciting already. I'm already picturing what it's going to look like. But now I have to ask this question. People might wonder why we're asking this. I mean, it's quite important because it doesn't come to mind immediately. But are we going to have some kind of festival village? Or would these different sports, numbering close to 40, be scattered across different facilities in the state? Or are we going to be creating some kind of festival village where everything would be situated, or some kind of created just for the purpose of the festival?
So the His Excellency the Governor's vision for this includes the expectation that the economic impact of the event will be felt across the city and hopefully across the state as well. So there will be a level of decentralization for us to be able to achieve that. So the village, as far as the games village itself, it's more so going to be something for accommodating the athletes that will be visiting, and then a limited number of sports that will be provided for in the vicinity of the games village, which is what I assume you're referencing. But there will be a large decentralization. So the Enugu Sports Club, which is just across the road, is going to be one of our facilities where some of the events will be taking place. The Nnamdi Azikiwe Stadium, the golf course, so it's going to be a bit, but just like the NBA conference, which we just experienced, the city will feel that injection of energy and excitement.
When is this festival going to commence exactly?
At the moment, there's no precise date, but roughly Q3, Q4 of next year.
Q4 next year. Right, that's exciting. So let's shift away from the sports festival now and talk about the Enugu State Youth Policy. And you've already come with the brochure, of course. You have the details there. And I've been seeing this around. Even when the Hotel Presidential was being commissioned, I saw some youths, going around with the Enugu State, those who attended I don't know if it was inauguration. So could you bring us up to speed with the Enugu State Youth Policy, how it came to be, and what it's really all about beyond the document?
Yes, so again, this is one of manifestations of His Excellency Dr. Peter Mbah's visionary leadership under the Tomorrow is Here agenda. So when we came in, one of the first assignments that one had to deal with as commissioner was policy formulation. We realized that Enugu State had never had a youth development policy, a youth policy for the state. There's usually a national youth policy, but you find some of the time the youth policy at the national level, there's need for domestication as at the subnational level. There's need for not just adopting it, but adapting it to our own peculiarities. So that's what led to the formulation of this policy. So this is a document that we've been working on for, close to 2 years now. So we started off working a small group at the office, and then we made contact, almost in a divine way with Action Aid Nigeria and South Saharan Development Organization, SSDO. So these NGOs worked with us. Action Aid funded, and we worked together with the team at the ministry and back and forth. Took a long time to go around and have a very detailed, very robust engagement with stakeholders, from the various youth organizations to local governments to all the ministries, departments, and agencies who have a role to play as far as youth development in Enugu State is concerned. So it took a long time to conclude all these engagements and agree on the various strategic thrusts, the thematic focus areas, the objectives, the benchmarks, the current baseline, and a lot of that. So a very detailed document, as you could imagine when you're working on something that Dr. Peter Mbah is going to work with. And it was quite robust. So, but the idea really is to give us a guiding document to put in black and white our vision for youth development in the state, for young people in the state, a vision that is contributed to by young people, a vision that represents the aspirations of our young people in the state, and then try to work out feasible ways of actually achieving that and then putting them in.
Could you walk us through the ingredients of the policy? What makes up the policy? What are the key tenets of this Enugu State Youth Policy?
So as far as the tenets, the policy is built around the tenets of inclusivity or inclusion, equality, progress for young people, participation. And then it's when you talk about the strategic thrusts, one is building a productive workforce and a sustainable economic contribution for young people. You talk about health and lifestyle reorientation of young people. You talk about you talk about human rights of young people, especially coming off the back of some of the things we've seen happen in the country, or NSAS and the rest of that, which informed some of the content of this policy. You have areas of the key tenet of it is partnership. So making sure that we're working together and bringing together all the necessary stakeholders to achieve what we want to do. So we want to, a scenario where we're able to build capacity for young people beyond what is currently already being done. There's a lot of work being done as far as capacity building. Then creating employment opportunities and having targets for how those things, the numbers that we're supposed to be hitting, key performance indicators are contained in there. So at every given time, we can track where we are as far as achieving the set objectives that are set out under the policy. So the main thing is to essentially build a youth workforce that is employed, is employable, that is employed, that is contributing to the economic advancement of the state, and that whose rights are protected, who are also included as far as civic engagement, which is one of the strategic thrusts here, included and being part of what is going on, and ensuring that persons with disability are not excluded, and then there's gender equality and equity in everything that we do as far as youth development is concerned. So very robust, and I'm just speaking in broad terms.
Yeah, exactly. Now, who classifies as a youth according to this policy? Because some people well into their 50s will still call themselves youth, Nigerian youth, right? So who classifies as a youth? Give us the specifics.
So the policy defines a youth as persons between the ages of 15 and 35. So we, in the course of formulating this policy, had studied previous youth policies. So just to go back a bit, another thing that informed this policy, you will see that the national youth policy 2019 to, I believe, 2024. So there's expectation that there is going to be a new national policy. So, but we also felt the need to proceed even regardless of whether there's a national one or not, because we're talking about Enugu here. However, if you look at that policy, which is still the subsisting national youth policy, it defines a youth, caps off youth as at 29, which is in line with the UN's definition. But we went with the definition of the AU under the African Youth Charter, which recognizes the difference in developmental milestones as far as people on the continent, in Africa, in Nigeria, within our context, as concerned. Some people don't necessarily start school when they're supposed to start school. Some people have, segments of their formative years that are, say, out of school and then back in and all of that. So taking all that into consideration, had to extend it to 35. So, but of course you must cap it at somewhere. So 15 to 35
So
years.
we're not capping it at 50 or 60 then? No way. So do you have a problem with the UN range for youth, ending at 29? Personally speaking, from your wealth of experience, do you have any personal objection to that criteria?
Yeah, like I said, I agree with what they've done on the African Youth Charter side of things. I don't think 29 is reflective of our peculiarities. Again, these policies, when you take them and you try to implement them, you must take into consideration your, the things going on around us. So we realize that at 29, someone has probably not even gotten their first job. Someone might be coming out of education at 29. So there's still a young person who needs support to be able to achieve certain things. A young, lady who may have gotten into childbearing at, say, 25, which is perfectly okay. Will you, let's say she's missed out on certain things for that and then wants to get back into the labor force at 29, and then you say she's not eligible for some of the benefits that the government has for youth people. So we looked at all these things and we agreed that, yes, I think 35 is a more appropriate, and then, in our culture, 29 is still considered a small child.
Exactly. I couldn't agree with you.
Yeah,
I think we both agree with the AU, standard. So let's talk about what you mentioned. You brought this up, labor. You talk about labor. This youth policy, how well does it address unemployment, which is a key challenge that youths face? Either they are not employable or they're employable, but then they can't find jobs. So could you paint a scenario where the state's youth policy addresses either of these concerns?
Right. So the policy in terms of building capacity for the purpose of employability looks at some key sectors. We look at the tech sector, the ICT sector, where we want to build capacity because we believe these are where the jobs are going to come from. So if someone is trained in some of the more cutting edge skills that are, on demand or in demand, then it increases the likelihood of getting employed. So it boosts their employability, which increases the likelihood of employment. Then it looks at other areas like agriculture. Again, it's in line with the general policy of states. So that in agriculture, the government of Enugu State, under His Excellency Dr. Peter Bisimba, is investing heavily in. Already they've done land banks, which will then be developed into farm estates. And then we've had discussions. The Ministry of Agriculture were part of formulating this policy. So we're having discussions. We've had discussions on where parts of those, a good segment of those farm estate lands will be earmarked for young people to farm and benefit from, what the state government is going to be doing in the agriculture sector. So that's just one example of a way in which the policy is focusing our capacity building programs on areas where we know that in the next year or two, other government policies will align such that opportunities for employment, for jobs to be created. Because when we talk about employment, we're not just talking about a regular 9 to 5. Mm-hmm. We're talking about what is obtainable in this day and age, where there's, government is focused on creating, addressing the issue of food security. So young people must be part of that. We're talking about where we must compete in a world where, AI is the backbone behind economies now, driving economic development. The tech sector generally is driving economic development of various parts of the world. And His Excellency wants to drive us in that direction. So we must build the workforce for that. The same thing goes for the we talk about the creative economy. So like something we're already doing, we have a program called the YAPI program, the Youth in Animation and Post-Production Initiative, funded by the MasterCard Foundation and implemented by Del York Creative Academy. And we set up on the IMT campus, where we have the studio where we're training people on animation, creating, video games, animated movies, editing movies and stuff like that. So because we also realize that just content creation alone within the creative economy is a billionaire industry and is making a lot of money for young people. So we want to build more capacity in those areas, which we're already doing, and get people employed. So those are just a few examples.
How accessible is this policy document? How can people access it? I'm sure people are wondering, maybe if someone hearing it for the first time or not, how accessible so they can actually go through the different tenets?
Yeah, it's very accessible. It will be going up. There's an issue with the size. It's going up on the government website. So if you go on the Enugu State government website, you can go down to Ministry of Youth and Sports, and then you'll find it there very soon. It's not up there yet, but it'll definitely be up there. But we have a number of copies that we are giving out. This is actually your copy, but I said I'll keep it here.
Thank you so much.
That I can refer to it in case if I need to. But
so that was actually my expo that you collected and then you kept on your side. But that's fine. I think that's a key point for our first commercial break. Enugu Kwenu returns in just split moments. Stay with us. Welcome back as you're watching Enugu Kwenu on Afia TV. I am Nathalie Uku once again, and good evening if you're just joining us. We're still discussing sports and of course youth development in the state and developments thus far. We're joined by the Honorable Commissioner for Youth and Sports in Enugu State, Barr Lloyd Ekweremadu. Barr Ekweremadu, it's great once again to have you.
Still a pleasure.
So we're going to head into some rather sensitive matters now, and I would like to start with this. Could you tell us about the National Youth Council of Nigeria broadly, and then let's bring it home to the Enugu State chapter?
Okay. The National Youth Council of Nigeria is the apex youth organization. It's a youth organization, that nationally it serves as an umbrella organization for youth organizations. So various youth organizations across the country register as members of the National Youth Council of Nigeria. So that's essentially what it is. The aim is essentially to provide a common body through which youth matters, youth issues can be directed, where government has to engage with the youth. There is a singular body through which to have those conversations, that dialogue, and they're there to represent the interest of young people in Nigeria and engage with organizations, private, government, whatever. And so it's a national body with membership, including membership consisting of youth organizations. So, and then it has state chapters.
All right. So there appears to be somewhat of a controversy, some confusion concerning the financial records of this council, the Enugu State chapter, to the tune of over 15 million naira. Now, the Ministry of Youth and Sports was copied in that communique that was issued. So what is your understanding of this controversy? I'm sure you've seen it. What's your understanding?
Our understanding of it is that there is an internal issue, just as it says in the communique, bordering on finance. We don't have the full details of it yet. I'm also aware that meetings have been held by the executives of the National Youth Council of Nigeria Enugu chapter, and they've commenced a process an internal process as their constitution provides. And we as the ministry that's oversees and warehouses them, along with other youth organizations, are acutely aware that they have internal conflict or dispute resolution mechanisms, which we are allowing them to go through with and see how that resolves itself. So ours is just to be there and make sure that everything that they're doing is in line with their own constitution as registered with us.
All right, now these are some serious allegations that are being made. I mean, one would wonder if they can truly handle it by themselves, if they're copying your ministry, copying the police force, copying the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. I mean, we're looking at allegations against the chairperson, the person in charge, Comrade Ebuka Bartholomew Oko, embezzlement and mismanagement of funds, running the council as a sole administrator, neglect of statutory meetings, deception regarding financial support, and undermining youth leadership. Quite serious, don't you think?
Yeah, those are serious allegations. Those are, but like I said, we don't have the details of those allegations. And we, as ministry, as a government parastatal, dealing with young people, we must always be very careful. We see a lot of these things, so we're not, perhaps our reaction to it is not we're not as shocked as the general public may be, but that's because we deal with, this is a day-to-day thing, youth organizations, whether it's at the community level or at the state level or, even at denominational level, always have these sort of issues cropping up, and eventually they get resolved. The Youth Council itself is having an issue even at the national level. So we are just, observers. Again, one of the reasons for the existence of these sort of organizations, youth organizations usually, and encouraging youth leadership is so that they can actually have first-hand practice of leadership of government within a more controlled environment, and that's what you're seeing playing out. And so for us as government, the role is not to intervene. Well, not we can intervene, but not to interrupt their internal process. So of course we are aware of what their constitution says about such allegations, and so far we believe things are being done in line with those provisions of their constitution. And so there's no need to get involved, and we just see how it plays out. Once everything is done and it's above board, ours is to either endorse or not.
Well, we reached out to him. Afia TV reached out yesterday to the Mr. Oko, and he declined. He said he can't speak about it right now. He said he was out of town. Then when I tried to probe him some more, he said that he would not speak on it. Even if we had the virtual facilities, he wasn't going to speak on this. And we understand that now he has been suspended. So, I would want to gain your take on what this is saying. You've been provided a platform to speak. You've decided not to speak. I mean, if your hands are clean, shouldn't you say something? What can we take from this? Is it trauma, or is there something bigger?
Well, I think now I'll be speaking in my experience as a lawyer. I think it's still early days. This communique was yesterday or today? So perhaps on the part of the persons involved or the actors being members of the Youth Council leadership, perhaps it's still too early to begin to comment on media about the contents of what's going on there. So maybe that's why there's the decline to speak to media about it. So I think, again, like I said, there are internal mechanisms that are supposed to be employed for this process, and then they are in those process. So maybe also, he wants to, allow those processes run their course, and then maybe after which I don't know. And I don't hold brief for him. I'm not speaking for him. So, but I'm just guessing.
I mean, so if as you are a lawyer yourself, and on a lighter note, if he were to approach you to defend him in court, because you basically did not hold brief, but at the same time you kind of did, you basically gave an explanation as to why he might not want to speak. So on a lighter note, I mean, would you consider representing him in court? All right, so let's leave it at that, okay? So he's been suspended now, and we still don't have any explanation as to where the 15 million naira went. Strong allegations are being made. You said that this is a test for the young ones to see what it really looks like, it feels like to be in a leadership position, right? Do you suspect a political dimension? Because leadership and politics, they go hand in hand. Do you think that there's some kind of politics going on? Did he upset somebody? Some quarters are saying he might have stepped on some toes due to recent actions. Let's just classify it as recent actions. Do you think that there's something political about his current ordeal?
I mean, personally, I've not thought about this from the angle of politics. But I mean, you can't exclude anything from anything. So, but I've not looked at it from that point of view, and if so, I wouldn't know who.
So the point of
might
view
have
of
been
people who
upset.
are presenting this narrative, their point of view is that he has not shown or has appeared not to show 100% to the state government, and that's why he is experiencing this and what they've described as his conundrum, so to speak, that he has not offered 100%, that he went ahead and bailed someone out that he shouldn't have bailed out. And this has resulted to his current situation.
No. So, I mean, like I said, government is completely not involved in any of this. We're hearing it just like anyone else. And our position is to watch their internal processes play out, and then monitoring it against the rules of their engagement. So that being said, government cannot be involved.
The fact that he sent to Afia TV that he's out of town, could he be on the run? Do you think he's on the run?
On the run? No.
I mean, he did say he was out of town, so could he be getting away?
No. I don't think it's gotten to the point of being on the run.
I mean, when you're a communique is in the public space and it has the ministry on it, it has EFCC, the police command, and so many other others copied in that communique, and then a journalist reaches out and you say you're out of town.
Yeah, so perhaps he's out of town.
Well, that was a quick out of town, don't you think?
Was he in town?
I have no idea.
Before, I mean, I don't know. I'm just saying, it's too early to make any conclusions about any of these things. We cannot speak about his whereabouts, but I don't think, again, it's too early to say someone is on the run. This is a process or something that is in the open space. It's in the public. So I don't think anyone can run away from it. The simple thing is for one to clear their own name if there's need to do that, and that's about it. So I would hope that he gets, or anyone involved in such a situation would get good counsel, legal representation, and advice, and deal with it.
So you have already mentioned what the ministry would do at this point, and that is to allow them basically execute their internal mechanisms for checkmating such behavior, because you're dealing with youths who you don't want to just jump in and start to do. This could trigger some kind of chain reaction, which we understand. But beyond just allowing them, what next? What will be the next steps of the ministry? And if at the end of the day it's found to be true that 15 million naira, over 15 million naira was embezzled by this individual?
I mean, if it comes to that, again, the necessary bodies to be involved will do what they have to do. So government will play its role. Government will take necessary steps. Of course, as far as the Youth Council is concerned, and our ministry is concerned, what that would mean, it would be a change in leadership, which would have to oversee the election of a new youth council leadership here in Enugu, and as part of our duties, and ensure that there isn't destabilization in the organization, which has a lot of responsibility to the young people as well.
What does the Ministry of Youth and Sports know about this issue as of now? What do you know? What is your real understanding of the issue at NYCN, Enugu State Chapter?
Well, what we know for sure is that a communique was released after a meeting was held, and that allegations have been made, and that the leadership of the state, executives of the National Youth Council of Nigeria here in Enugu have instituted, processes in line with their constitution, and those processes have commenced, internal audits and stuff like that going on. So we're monitoring them as they do all those things at the moment.
All right. So in terms of transparency, we've seen this, whether it's true or false, there's no smoke without fire. It kind of reminds you of what should be done to ensure that we don't have such monies just being sent without any true accountability. And this is the state chapter, right? What can be done? What would your ministry do to ensure improved transparency and improved accountability as well?
So currently, even when funds are made available for various programs.
Who funds the NYC and Enugu State chapter? The state government?
No, the state government doesn't fund, the organization per se. What the state government does is support youth programs that are in line with the state.
What do you mean by support?
So let's say Nathalie comes to the Ministry of Youth and Sports and says, we're working with these group of experts in UX, UI design training, and teaching people how to build applications using AI. And of course, that would be in line with our policy objectives. Then Nathalie tells us, but that program is going to cost X amount of money. Mm-hmm. The state government, because this is something that we are trying to achieve for our young people, could say, okay, let's partner with you, and we will fund XYZ on the budget, say maybe provision of the space where this training will take place, maybe procurement of computers or whatever, and let's say that's all. Well, you have other things, and then money is made available for that purpose. So it's in that sort of context that state government supports NYCN programs.
So who would you say is the key financier of the NYCN?
The NYCN, I wouldn't know. I'm not in their accounts, but if I were in the NYCN, of course, corporations, philanthropists, I would assume, are people who also make monies, who would make monies available to them for one thing or the other.
So circling back to the transparency, accountability, how is that going to be ensured if these allegations prove true? What will be done to subdue all of that in the future?
Of course, we would have to review our monitoring and evaluation procedures internally, and see that where there might be discrepancies or whatever, that they're addressed. Ordinarily, though, when, for example, such a thing is done, we monitor to ensure that that whatever it is, money is, funds are made available for, carried out as expected.
All right, we're going to quick break now. When we return, we're looking at the final message from the Honorable Commissioner to Enugu as we forge ahead. Enugu Kwenu returns shortly. Do stay tuned. Welcome back to Enugu Kwenu. We're still with the Commissioner for Youth and Sports. And the final question we have today is, if you were to deliver one message to Enugu right now, what would that message be? And on the second side, what should the youth of Enugu be excited about right now?
Well, so if that's quite a packed one, but I think my message to Enugu generally will be to encourage all of us to continue to support His Excellency Dr. Peter Ndubuisimba in the unprecedented transformation that we're witnessing, for us to remain resolute and committed to the development of Enugu, and that it's not just a job for government, but we all have a role to play in making our state, our society a better place. For the youth, I want them to know that His Excellency the Governor has the youth at heart, which is essentially what is communicated through our policy, which is why today a Youth Development Fund has been established, and that's something to be excited about, trying to earmark sustainable finance for youth development, because that's usually the challenge. So there is a lot to be excited about in those areas, and to be excited about the fact that every government program, be it the assembly of tractors in Enugu, is geared towards youth employment and solving the problem of youth unemployment. Be it the establishment or refurbishing and reestablishment of the presidential hotel is an opportunity for employment for young people. Be it road construction and everything that's going on in the agricultural sector as well. Young people are benefiting massively. So there is a lot for the youth of Enugu State to be excited about under the leadership of His Excellency Dr. Peter Ndubuisimba.
All right. Thank you so much, Marisa Lloyd, for joining us this evening. Thank you once again for bringing us up to speed. All right. And we hope to continue to see more developments in sports. We cannot wait for the National Sports Festival. And I would love to see the Games Village as well. So I'm sure we'll take a tour of that. Thank you once again.
Thank you.
All right, we hope that we delivered on today's edition of Enugu Kwenu. Stay tuned to Afia TV for more content such as this until we meet again next Wednesday. Same time, same channel. I remain your host, Nathalie Uku. Have a lovely evening. Bye for now.